mean girl behavior has been glorified in our generation with shows like Baddies, Housewives, and all the reality TV shows. By the end of this episode, you'll understand why that kind of behavior is harmful to not only you, but to others. Hi, my name is Chanel Jack, and I am the host of Girl Code Talk, and I am on a mission to create solidarity with women and girls in a world that tries to divide us. I am teaching how to be your sister's keeper and how we get along, and not just your personal life, but even professional. So by the end of this episode, you'll know what kind of behavior to look out for when it comes to your own interactions with girls, so you can understand what mean girl behavior is and why it's not okay. I had my first mean girl encounter when I was in middle school, and I grew up in the church. And I remember my pastor, my youth pastors, they always said, if you want to have friends, show yourself friendly, be friendly to people. And my mom used to tell me just to walk up, introduce yourself, say, hi, my name is Chanel, have a smile on your face, have big energy. So I took that and it worked until I went to this particular charter school, and I put on my best face. I was excited to meet my new classmates, and they bullied me. And this was my first time ever getting bullied. I literally would go home and just cry. And I would cry and cry and cry for a week straight. And I would just close my door so my mom didn't see. I didn't know what to do, and that was my first time ever dealing with a situation like that where I'm new. It's not like I did anything to these girls yet. It's not like I was mean to them. I made sure to be nice, have a smile, introduce myself. And I could not understand, one, why everything that I was taught didn't work in this moment. So I was very confused. Two, I was also insecure because I'm thinking to myself, maybe I'm not good enough for them. They're being mean. So obviously they were trying to pick on different things. And I grew up with my mom. She didn't always buy us name brand stuff. She kind of taught us, if we want all that extra stuff, we're going to have to work and buy it. But in middle school, of course, you pretty much just put on what your parents give you and be blessed. Because at the end of the day, clothes is clothes. So it was hard because I didn't know how to navigate that, and I feel like I did all I can. And my mom, she caught me the seventh day crying, and that's when she was like, what's going on? And I knew she was gonna do that. That's why I try to keep it cute. For some reason I thought I could handle it by myself. But when she intervened, so did my principal. So my mom was quick to call the principal, you better get them. So I'm sending my daughter here to this school. Bullying is not going to be tolerated. And I'm just going to say, it's really important to have somebody to advocate for you, whether that's your mom, whether that's your grandma, your guardian, your sister. Those moments were important because I was not sure how to navigate that. So if you are somebody who is a little older, it's okay to advocate for somebody else, okay? So I just wanted to put that out there. So I couldn't do it myself, and I didn't know what that would look like anyway. So I'm glad my mom took matters in her own hands at that point. So the principal had us all in a room. It's me and my principal right here. All the other girls was across the table. And, I guess just kind of being open-minded to whatever this meeting was about. But I also felt guilty because I didn't want them to get in trouble, right? But my principal, she was such a girl's girl. And in this moment, she created a safe space. I didn't know these terms growing up. Even in high school, women's empowerment, all that stuff was not something that we talked about. That was not really a term that was said. But she created this safe space for all of the girls to, one, be open and honest about their treatment towards me. And as they were talking, I was, one, surprised that they were holding themselves accountable. And then two, the tone, the conviction, and the love that my principal, I think her name was Miss Singleton, if I'm not mistaken. I was in fourth grade. But she created this environment to hold them accountable, but to also teach them to love themselves in that moment. it didn't end with it being about me. She talked about insecurity. She talked about what it means to be a girl's girl, what it means to be a sister's keeper. And by the end of that conversation, I kid y'all not, these bullies, okay, who was big and bad, that, you know, wanted to pick on me every day, that was so tough, they were literally crying. Like, literally crying. And in my head, being young, I'm like, okay, what y'all crying for? Because I didn't get y'all back. I didn't get my lick back. So what are y'all crying for? Like, it just, to me, I didn't get it. I'm like, y'all just doing this with the principal right here. Like, stop. Because y'all was not crying a week ago. I was. Okay? But the tears broke them down. And I didn't get it. I didn't get it until, like, the ringleader of the group. You know, normally in a mean girl group, it's always that one person who is like the leader. And normally they show leadership skills. It's just they use it in a different way. They use it negatively. And then it's, of course, the group of followers. But she, as the ringleader, said in tears, I did not like her, and we were mean to her just because her hair was longer than ours. Crying, boohooing. And at that moment, when I tell y'all, I was so confused, because I heard of jealousy at that age, but I guess I never experienced it at that age, so I couldn't relate. Like, there would have been nothing in my mind that really would have said that's what it was. I'm thinking I was ugly. I'm putting the blame on me, but I did not think that's what it was at all, right? And ever since then, the good story was they really did take that girl talk, and a lot of our events, our movements, even this is girl code talk because of that one moment. Words could be transformative, and they were able to not only love themselves better and understand their own insecurities, but because of that, love other people around them better and be kind. And we were friends, but I basically still carried that in a way. I carried it two ways. One, I promised myself, if I became popular, because it was the popular group, but even outside of 4th grade, just in life, that I would be a popular, pretty, nice girl. I wanted to debunk that narrative that you have to be mean to be popular, or to be seen, or to be heard. You don't have to do that. And that was one of the many stereotypes I debunked with my actions growing up. But it also was a seed to the work that I'm doing now. I then questioned every female relationship after that, because it sent me a message that in order to have good friendships, especially female friendships, I had to shrink a little bit. Like, you can't be too loud, you can't be too great, you can't be too pretty, you can't be too smart, or it's going to make somebody jealous, and you don't want that. And I never wanted anybody to be jealous of me, like, ever. So I grew up, and it was like, to me, even now, I would be super humble. But false humility is a thing, right? So these are just things that just even affected me, and even where I'm at now, where I'm still learning how to take up space and to be a light in rooms without feeling like I'm overshining the next girl, because that should not happen at all. We are both bright. But when you're in those rooms with other people who had their own insecurities, sometimes as an empath, you want to be the one to fix those things. And that was never my job. But this is also learned behavior, right? And we're going to get into that. And that's the first thing I want to talk about is the fact that those girls did what was normal to do, especially at that time. If you want to be popular, just like we see on these reality shows that glorifies fighting and cattiness, you have to be the loudest one. You have to be the meanest one. You have to have all the comebacks. You have to be quick with your words, be slick at the mouth. It makes you feel like, yeah, the biggest stars that we see on these reality shows are people who could essentially just be mean, you know? But it's hilarious to everybody else. It's entertainment to everybody else. That sends a message to our, not even just to our younger girls, but just to the world, right? Especially if you want that attention, if you crave that attention, if you want to be loved, if you want to be liked. So we are what we see in general. Like you have to protect your eye gates. You have to protect what you hear, because at the end of the day, you start taking on some of those behaviors, right? So this is learned behavior, and we have to stop and do better. One of the stories that I always talk about when it comes to fighting is the Ma'Khia Bryant story, because I was there during a protest in Columbus, Ohio, my hometown, essentially. And I say essentially because I was born in New York. I just gotta say that. But I was raised in Columbus, Ohio since I was 3, okay? So shout out to Ohio. But a young girl named Ma'Khia Bryant, she was 16 years old. She was a foster child, and there were adult girls that were in that household or was at the house, and they were older, and they were picking on her and ganging up on her. She called the police, obviously, to understand how to navigate that situation. You only call the police if you feel unprotected, right? But just like any other 16-year-old girl who got in a fight, sometimes you have to hold your own at that point. Because by the time they get there, somebody could have triggered you. Somebody could have really just they could just start slapping her. You never know. But there were so many people that were around during this time, and everybody was recording. So she got into a fight with these adult women. But by the time the police got to her house, she was the aggressor, and she got shot and killed by the same police that she called. It was such a tragic story. Like, I was so triggered by this because I know what it feels like to be in a situation where you had to defend yourself when you did not want to do that. There should have been an adult there. There should have been somebody that was any type of leadership that said, no, y'all get in the house before I call y'all's mama, something. But no, everybody wants to record and look at it as entertainment because it's the shows that we consume. It's almost like our lives don't feel like they're valued. They are putting us against each other. And even though this seems like it's a normal behavior to get in fights, this little girl lost her life. And she is not the only one. She is not the only one. If you do your research, there's plenty of girls who got in fights and died. And we're normalizing it. And while they're recording, they don't understand. They just recorded the last moments of this little girl's life. Just to go live. They want us to fight like dogs. But guess what? This is a reality check. Even dogs are not supposed to fight in the US. Like, it's illegal for dogs to fight. So what message does that send? Now we are valued less than dogs? You can't even do dog fighting. But us, it's a party when we get together. It's a party when we don't have a lack of emotional intelligence, when we are fighting and bickering over the dumbest stuff that could have been talked out. Because if I valued myself, I could value you a little bit, right? In this sense, she had to defend herself from people and women who should have known better. And now, on the flip side, giving grace to my other sisters who probably didn't know that was going to be the outcome. They have to live with that. Can you imagine living with that? For whatever moment, whatever motivated them to even fight. I know it wasn't worth it when they seen that this last girl, the last encounter she had on earth, was defending herself against them. You don't want that. So one of the biggest reasons that we go through some of this, one of the root causes, and we're not talking about all of them today, but is because of this learned behavior, especially in media. The second one I want to talk about is jealousy. A lot of this mean girl behavior is rooted in jealousy because we all have our own insecurities, right? And some people, because, people say, jealousy is a feeling. But it's like when you act on it, when it starts to fester up, that's when it becomes dangerous, right? And we live in a world, again, that already puts us against each other. But we also have these high social norms that we have to live up, these random standards, but nobody knows who made these standards up. But there's a lot of pressure for women to look the best. We have to be in the best shape of our lives. We have to be on the yachts on Instagram. There's a lifestyle that's being promoted. It's hard, especially in media. It's hard to not compare. It is hard to not compare. But again, when you love yourself, it's easier, way easier. When you know what makes you you, it's way easier. When you know that God said you are fearfully and wonderfully made, you are his masterpiece. He is saying, I made you. You were created in my image. And you are the apple of my eye. I chose to die for you. To the point, I want to show you how much I love you. I know the very hairs on your head. Every little hair is numbered. Y'all ever had a man that you just so in love with, a partner that you so in love with, and it's like you feel like you know everything about this man. Like, I know what keeps him up at night. I know his favorite food. When you love somebody, you want to know everything about them so you can continue to make them happy and make them feel seen and loved. I kid you, I know I ain't never counted nobody's hairs. Okay, I never was that interested to be like, okay, 1, 2. Yes, I want to live in your skin, but I'm not counting the hairs on your head. God knows the very hairs on your head. He loves you so much. You were his before you were the world's. That's why he said, before you were in your mother's womb, I knew you. It wasn't about just the assignment you're doing on earth. I spent time with you. I got to know you. I had you to myself. Like, he loves you. When you are rooted in that love, it's easy to love his children. It's easier to love the sisters around you. Sometimes when you are dealing with somebody who's jealous, it can expose whatever insecurity is in them, even if that wasn't your intentions. So I'm talking to you as the person who might be jealous and the person who is a victim of it. It could expose something that's in them, just like how those girls did. They felt insecure about the length of their hair, and because of that, they treated me really bad. And that was a very rare case. Not everybody gets to talk to their bullies. That was a real conversation, and it was ordained for it to happen that way because it created the study in me to understand why women and girls can be so mean to each other. Not everybody, but why can we? Because I experienced true sisterhood that changed my life, and I also wanted to demonstrate that to others. But there's a vast majority of women and girls who are mean. And again, it's not, yes, there's some accountability there, but there's so many things that want us to do this. And it could be simple as a girl being jealous of you for a guy that she likes showing you more attention. It could be, again, the hair, okay? It could be because you have a mother that loves you and you don't know everybody's situation. Sometimes it exposes their own insecurities, so they can mistreat you because of that, right? And it's hard to deal with somebody, and I know we're going to do an episode in general about dealing with like jealous friends and stuff, because that can be a dangerous thing, right? One of the first murders in the Bible was Cain killing Abel because he was jealous. And you know his response back to God? Am I my brother's keeper? We're starting to live in a world that don't even care about each other. Like, there's so many demands on us. So some people became selfish. It's easy to be jealous because, like, I am struggling and I see you got something that I've been trying to get. There are just so many things that could cause somebody to be jealous. And if you are dealing with jealousy, one, I'm going to be praying for you. I'm praying for like all my viewers. Two, ask God to take that away from you. Trust in him that he's going to give you what you need. And also, maybe seek therapy if this keeps coming up. Because it's really hard to create community if people are scared to even like tell you the good things that's happening in their life. You're not going to be a safe space. You also will project among your friends as well. So we had jealousy. We have, the learned behavior in media. 3, some girls are mean girls just because they're trying to protect themselves. Some girls have experienced the mean girl behavior at a young age or seen somebody else get bullied. And now they have a defense mechanism like, okay, well, I'm going to be mean first because nobody's going to catch me slacking. Nobody's going to catch me, like they be the first with the comebacks. And sometimes they even talk about themselves, so they know you can't even talk about this particular subject because, listen, I already know this about myself. Like, they create walls because they're so scared to be hurt. So they come at you with the assumption that you're going to come at them anyway. It's just a matter of time. Some people have walls when they really want friends. Some people have walls when they really want to be loved. But when you have that wall and you don't let God be your defender, you're blocking people who want to love you. You're blocking those friends that you really seek. And you're also doing harm to them because you're being nasty to people. You don't know who's having a bad day. You don't know what other people are going through. And it could be you that say something mean to them. And that could have been their last straw. All it takes, just because you want to protect yourself. The last thing I want to talk about is just the lack of leadership. People follow the crowd to fit in. There are so many people in this world, so many girls, so many women that just want to feel like they belong. And trust me, I get this. I have dealt with my own feelings of wanting to belong because I was such an activist for this work at a young age. I didn't know what God was going to do with it, but I've always chose doing the right thing for the most part. Like, I was definitely labeled the good girl. And I didn't always want that. I didn't know what a leader was back in the day. I went to very urban schools. That wasn't something that we were talking about like that. I didn't know the payoffs of being a leader. Like, and then two, I didn't have no kids. It's not like I had to be good for my kids, or like there was nothing really holding me accountable, other than, of course, my mom. I was scared of my mom, okay, because I didn't want to get beats. All right, so that's why you gotta, make sure you're showing your children what the consequence is, because if you don't, the world can. But also, again, like when you're in middle school and high school, your social dynamics, and a lot of parents don't get this part, but like your social dynamics really matter. Low-key, sometimes it matters more than your academics, because you are trying to find your place in this world. So me being somebody who everybody knew I was popular, but not to the extent of I was the ringleader of anything. I didn't believe in cliques at that point. After middle school, I didn't believe in cliques. So I would be friends with everybody. And in a sense, I was creating like some surface level community, but I had my core. But there was still a sense where I felt like I didn't really fit in. Everybody wants to fit in for the most part. It's a common feeling. It makes you feel safe. It makes you feel seen. Nobody wants to be the oddball. Nobody wants to be the weird one, right? But the thing is, just like the people who recorded Ma'Khia, they recorded her last breath on earth. There was no leaders present that could have saved her life. And that's the dangers of doing what the crowd is doing. Because if you think about it, what if that was your sister? Your real sister. It is your sister, but your real sister. And you weren't there. Wouldn't you have wanted this one person? All it takes is one person to say, this is not right. Leave her alone. This is not cool. Instead of everybody hyping up the behavior. If you don't know who you are, which makes a leader, the world will tell you who you are. And I feel like we have a lack of leadership because a lot of the younger generation, some of us millennials, we haven't had the time to really sit with ourselves to understand us, especially before we give ourselves to others. We just take a little bit from our environment of what we like or what we think is right, but we haven't had the time to really process to understand, what do we believe in? What are our morals, values, and girl codes? What do I want to stand up for? Because in this mean girl culture, you are either going to be a leader by not tolerating in it, even though it's heavily promoted, and you don't know what that could do for you. Like, there has been benefits that I didn't know came with doing right. I used to, like, low-key, I'm going to say I used to hate doing right, but I just didn't understand why God always chose me to do it, okay? I'd be like, God, can I just get my one, like, moment? And when I did, when I was in a dating relationship and I was, like, 23, it was, like, the worst. That was my first girl fight and everything, because I wanted one moment to do what everybody else was doing. There was a call on my life to be a leader. And if you know that's you can stand up for any social issue outside of this. But one thing is, when you choose love as a leader, no matter what the moral value that you set. If the foundation is love and you choose love, you choose God. So I want to end off with our scripture of the day. It's Ephesians 4:31 through verse 32. Get rid of all bitterness, rage and anger, brawling and slander. Be kind and compassionate, forgiving each other. And one thing about this scripture is sometimes, even if you're not the one who did wrong, if you're not the mean girl here, you still have to try to find it in your heart to forgive those who were. Forgive them. And if you were the mean girl, if you were the one that bullied everybody, forgive yourself and try to do better next time. It's important to forgive yourself. And sometimes people can remember your past so much that it's hard to grow with being a new person, because people will remember how you treated them. They might not remember your name, but they remember how you treated them. And even if they don't forgive you, that doesn't mean go back to who you were before. That doesn't mean just give up and be like, okay, well, since they already expect this of me, I'm going to. No, continue to show them that God is a miracle worker. It shows them that if he could touch and heal your heart, he could heal theirs for whatever they're dealing with. Because just because they weren't mean girls, don't mean that they haven't hurt another woman or girl before. My journal prompt for you guys is write down who you want to be in this narrative. Do you really want to be the mean girl? Because this episode wasn't for you, if you do. Or do you want to be a girl's girl? Even if the girls that you've encountered haven't been the nicest. Figure out who you want to be. Then have an honest journal prompt. And the question is, how do you think I'm viewed by others? Because if you say you want to be a girl's girl, and then in the journal prompt you're like, I know for sure I'm a mean girl to everybody else. I've heard that. Even if it's not everybody, I've heard this before, and I know I could come off mean because I'm standoffish, or I don't speak, or I don't. Be honest with yourself. And when you compare the two, the last journal prompt is, what area do you need to grow in to be that girl? Do you need to grow in your forgiveness and forgive people better? Do you need to learn to be more kind? Do you want to do better at communication? Is it your communication? Can you compliment more women and show up for the women and girls in your life, or get more opportunities? It could be so many things. And the girl code of this episode is, if you want friends, show yourself friendly. It works. Show yourself friendly. That is the best way to gain friendships. Show yourself friendly. I would love to know your thoughts on this episode. Let me know in the comments if y'all have ever been through a situation like mine, where you dealt with mean girls currently, or just in the past, and just how you dealt with it, because it can really help somebody else who might be going through it currently. Can y'all be y'all sister's keeper and subscribe and send this video off to somebody who you know truly can use it, right? Because again, we live in a media-driven world, and right now how they portray us is not the best. So maybe your friends could use something more positive. I would love the support, and I hope to see you guys again on the next episode. Thank you for sticking with me, and we have lots to uncover. So go ahead and subscribe, y'all. See you guys later.